Hi guys, it's Beau here from Results-Based Training. Welcome to our podcast. We have been running small group training facilities in and around South Manchester now for around 10 to 12 years. In that time, we've worked with hundreds of local women and men in helping them make health, fitness and lifting weights a part of their life moving forward so that they can reap all the benefits. We've started this podcast so that we can get some guests on, mainly clients that we're working with at the moment, to share their stories of how they are approaching and navigating their fitness journeys with everything else they've got going on in life, to help you, the listener and the watcher, with your own health, your own fitness, and making this a part of who you are moving forward. In today's episode, we have got our guest Ross, who is one of our clients at RBT. Ross has never, ever really been to a gym before training with us. He played team sports as a younger man. It sort of took him into adult life, but once that had stopped and the aches and pains around that all sort of started kicking in, he'd never really trained before, never lifted weights before. He had also had a heart attack a couple of years before getting started with us. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about his first day into the gym, how he felt upon walking in, the results he's achieved with us, and how he feels generally now moving forward with his health and well-being. Ross, thank you for your time today, mate. That's the first thing that I'd like to say. Coming and joining us on the RBT podcast. Today, what I want to do, I want to start all the videos the same way, because I feel like sometimes when we are watching people online, it's easy for us to assume that they've got it easy in some way, or they've got their shit together, or they're a little bit different from us. All right. So the first thing that I want to do really is just get to know you a little bit, understand, who you are, what your week looks like, where you spend your time and so on. So fire away. Let us know.
Right. Well, I'm a self-employed financial advisor, so I spend a lot of time sat behind a desk. Okay. I'm semi-retired in theory. Well, that's not quite working out.
So it's like gone from 7 days to 5? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to do 3 days a week, but it stretches out a little bit more than that at times. But so I have quite a sedentary life, really. Sat at a desk and in the car. I've a family man. I've got 2 daughters. They're both grown up. We got a busy house. My mum lives with us. One of the daughters lives with us. So,
how old are the daughters?
35 and 31.
Okay.
Yeah. So grown up. But,
so life's supposed to slow down a bit now, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, if only. We have quite a busy social life. Do quite a bit of amateur dramatics and stuff, which keeps us
in Altrincham.
In Sale. Sale Nomads. Yeah. So
okay. And is that like calendar, like throughout the year, or is it?
Yeah, very much. Yeah. It's constantly, evolving situation. Really, there's always something going on. Big social life there as well. So
cool.
Big part of our lives.
Okay, brilliant. And then, so in terms of what you do for a career, like semi-retired, you said, have you done that for forever? Or?
Yeah, I've always been in financial services for my sins. When I left school, joined an insurance company, and then went into the advice side of things. So I've done it for all my life.
Yeah, cool.
And here I am.
Okay. All right, sweet. So how long have you been a member of what we do here?
I joined towards the end of last August 24. Yeah.
So coming up to a bit of time now then. Yeah. Okay.
Apparently I've just done my 50th session today, apparently. So,
nice, okay. Good on you, right. Yeah. 50 hours of self-care. That's what we call it, right? Good.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. And so before coming to us, give me an idea of kind of in terms of health, in fitness, training of any kinds, like throughout your life. Yeah. What's that look like?
Well, I've never been a gym person, so my sporting or health activity was playing hockey for years.
Okay.
I started playing hockey when I was at school, and I carried on until I was about mid-40s, by which time the back and the knees had given up the ghost. So that was...
it's quite a heavy sport to keep playing, right?
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed it. It's fantastic, great crack and everything, and but it took up a lot of time. But I had a great time, but the body just couldn't hack it anymore, and kept getting hit on the head with the ball, which was...
really?
which when you're self-employed is a sign to say, I think the writing's on the wall.
Golf would have been a good option.
Well, yeah, I'm rubbish at golf. But I mean, that was sort of, so I've not played that for mid-40s, so 17 years or so. So when I stopped hockey, I stopped exercising apart from going on walks. So, and that culminated, so I wasn't really looking after myself. And
so just for context, Ross, when was that then? When did you roughly stop playing hockey in terms of time frame?
So that would have been 17 years ago when I was 45, yeah.
Okay. And then go on then, so I interrupted you. So how did life look then? So you stopped that and just carried on with the walking? And
yeah, I've done a bit of walking, but never, as I say, never been a gym person. Because I played team sports, i.e. hockey, I couldn't really carry that on, so I didn't do anything really. I didn't look after myself, and being the person that I am, I like my food and my drink, and the body was beginning to take a bit of a hammering, sadly, but and which culminated in me having a heart attack 3 years ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tough. How was that then? How did that come about? Were you unwell at the time?
No, completely out of the blue. We were out walking at the time, actually. And, had a weekend where I actually had 3 heart attacks, and the final one in the doctor's surgery here in
Did you know that the first 1 or 2 were, or?
Well, I probably did, but I was in a bit of denial, and anyway, the final one was in the doctor's surgery, and rushed me off to Wythenshawe, and wham bam, bypass surgery, off you go.
Wow, okay. Was that all done quite quickly, or? Yeah,
it was all, they called it an emergency bypass, but it was 2.5 weeks after the event, but they wouldn't let me out of hospital. It's fantastic. It was at Wythenshawe, you couldn't fault them. It was they saved me basically, and
yeah, okay.
And then there was a good recovery program after that.
Because I think you mentioned this to me, didn't you, when you started? So did you actually work with a PT or something, or a trainer?
It was like they had. It wasn't really a PT. It was kind of. They have
almost like a physio.
Physio situation.
Yeah,
they called it physio, but it was a lot of going on the bike, going on walking machines, and
gently getting your cardio, and your confidence back in it.
Correct. Yeah. And then after about 3 months of that, they kind of left to your own devices. They did say, they did refer me to Altrincham Leisure Centre as part of the Trafford setup. Yeah. But because Altrincham was shutting down, nothing happened really. So so that meant that I was getting back to my old habits, basically.
Okay. And what would that look like then? Give us an idea.
Well, I like my food and.
Do you guys go out to eat quite a bit, or
reasonable amount? We don't eat unhealthily. We're not big into takeaways or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
you're into good food, right?
Yeah,
good food. Okay.
Yeah, but probably eat too much of it, and I do like a drink, so that was creeping up, and my weight was creeping up again. So I was sort of. The writing was on the wall, thinking, I don't want another one. So my wife goes to TBT.
Yeah, to TBT next door. Yeah.
So
she's recommended.
She gently suggested that I join here,
as the partners do.
Yeah.
Nothing gentle about my partner suggested anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. So that's why I ended up here. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of answered, I guess, my first proper question really, which is like the main reason, I guess, for reaching out. So. You just said that you started to feel like you were kind of nudging yourself back into those habits. Easily done, I think. Yeah. When you've not got a map or a guide to kind of take you out. So that's perhaps the main reason why. And I think, I just want to comment actually on the hockey, because I think I hear this quite a bit actually. And it's the team sport side of thing. Yeah. Because I think for somebody that perhaps isn't naturally as comfortable in a gym environment, those environments are great, because it's not necessarily about the fitness or the strength it's more all of it, isn't it? And the gameplay. Yeah. And you've got a thing to focus on for that hour, which isn't just sitting there, like some people might think, coming and lifting the bar and moving it. It's a bit boring. It's a little bit, long. So I think it's worth highlighting that actually, what do you do then? Because you've took away that team side of it, the camaraderie amongst your comrades, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah.
And then what are you doing? So that's made you reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel? I said this to you before off camera. One of the reasons I really wanted to get you in today is because this was a brand new environment to you when you walked in, and totally. I remember your first session. Because I was actually training in the session. I think I must have been having quite a busy week and I jumped on the back of it.
Right.
So come on, talk to me about how did it feel driving here on your way in, Yeah,
well, I was nervous, if I'm honest, because if you're not a gym person and you're getting that idea in your head, it's all, hench lads all, lifting massive weights and all the rest of it. And there's a lot of testosterone flying around.
Backslapping going on. Yeah, fucking
all
nightmare,
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I was like, am I going to fit in? But I was nervous, and my first session didn't go well because I tweaked my calf,
or
my hamstring. Doing a warm up. So because I wasn't used to doing warm-ups and all the rest of it. But so I gave it a rest for a few days and then started again.
We then met, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a
one-to-one, didn't we? Just to get a little bit of movement going. I think, listen, you hit the nail on the head there. Regarding pulling your hamstring, it was just simply, we're not used to moving like this for the time being. And, it wasn't anything nasty or too, it wasn't detrimental, was it? But we needed to... have a slightly more, I wouldn't even say more gentle approach. I think it was just we got in and we stretched basically, didn't we?
Yeah.
When we sit at a desk or we drive or we assume that kind of normal posture that most people do, it really takes quite a bit of work to counter it. I think, and then when you start coming in the gym and putting weight or under load basically in those movements, it really exasperates things that might not have even been showing up.
Yeah.
So okay. I have to take my hat off to you, mate, by the way, because I think coming in and feeling the way you did and pulling a hammy and I saw a bit of a fucking nightmare. I mean, you're still here, bro. And you smashed in it. I know I don't get to train you as much these days, but the last time I trained you, I thought your fitness was incredible.
Right.
Which has got to be I
do feel a lot fitter.
Builder.
Yeah, I do feel a lot fitter. And, I seem to be doing... I'd like to think I'm progressing. I did a PB this morning on my deadlift and that. So, and that's it. Seem to be getting a few more PBs coming along in various things, which is all, you go home with a bit of a buzz when.
Of course you do. Builds confidence a little bit, doesn't it, in this area?
Yeah.
So then, okay then. So sort of like for the past 6 months or so, how have you managed your gym journey? Because I know that you go away on weekends sometimes, don't you?
Yeah.
So kind of, is it like every week I do 3? Do I vary it? How have you found it to be consistent?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to be honest, because as you say, we have a caravan, so we go to that. We just have that kind of life where we tend to, because we're near retirement age, we've got a bit more time to go away and this, that and the other. So it is hard to get 3 in, and my wife is very, very keen on me making sure I'm trying to get me down 3.
I'll slip her a tenner later.
Yeah. Okay. But it's not always possible. I try and do at least 2 if I can.
Yeah, good.
I've done 3 this week, and hopefully I'll do 3 next week. So.
Do you put a pressure on yourself to do it or no?
No, my wife puts some pressure on me.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but I don't, because I'm comfortable if I do 2.
Yeah.
I think that's all right. I mean, great if I can get 3 in. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a naturally lazy person, so I have to really G myself up to come. I'm always glad that I have come when the session's over. So
you are or you're not.
I
you are when you're done. Okay,
at the end of it, I always think, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, I do have to push myself, and so I'd love to be able to do 3 a week, but sometimes it's just not possible. But when it is, I will do.
Yeah, I think it's a really good attitude. It's why I wanted to explore it, to be honest, because I think a lot of people, when they are trying to approach a new health regime of any kind, they set the bar too high, just a little bit out of reach. And unfortunately, we just end up kind of demoralizing ourselves trying to chase something and not hit it all the time. And it can then impact whether we do it or not. I really like your approach. 100%. I think it's good. 2 a week is more than enough to maintain, health. And, for someone like yourself, I say this to a lot of clients that have never lifted weights before, you guys almost have the most to gain in the shortest period of time because your body's not used to and conditioned to doing it already. So don't overlook 2 consistent sessions, 8 to 9 sessions a month. And the reality is for yourself, that's probably more like 10 or 11 by the time you've got the odd extra one in. It's huge. 100 and odd, sessions a year. It's
compared
massive.
to nothing that I was doing before.
Honestly, massive. I think it's really good. I really like the way you manage it. And I love the way that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, which we see a lot of it. I've got to do my 3. I mean, you haven't really. 3 is optimal. But actually, are we managing to do this consistently? Yes. Then we're flying. Do you notice a difference when you've been in, maybe consistently to not being in? Because I think you've been on holiday. Have you been away recently?
We've been away, So, I mean, energy, I think if you don't come in, I find that if I've missed a bit, then the energy's dropped off a bit, and also the incentive to come back has dropped a bit, so you got to.
So do you feel like the gap in between is relevant?
I think so. I think from my point of view, anyway, if I leave too long a gap, the chances of me leaving it longer and longer and longer are much higher. So, that's something I have to think, come on,
100%. I can understand that, definitely. And do you think a little bit that's like the whole, it's going to be a slog again at the beginning, maybe? Or And, because it's, sometimes if you've left it a while and you come back, the first one back can be hard work, but, it's always worth it in the end. Yeah, absolutely, mate. In terms of like your body, do you feel different when you're training? Like, in terms of like, I notice when I have times out of the gym, like the little aches, the little niggles, they tend to start showing up again. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose at my age, I do get quite a lot of niggles. I'm having problems with my Achilles at the moment, but I find that the more I do, those niggles go. I mean, when I first joined here, I don't know if you remember, I had a real problem with my shoulder.
And it just went, actually, didn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of go. You said to me
one day. It was
weird,
and I think, I couldn't get the bands behind me, and not a chance, but I think just, after about 4 months of it, that cleared itself up, and I can only think it was because of it was getting regular
just putting
usage.
It through some movement. I think perhaps like it's really easy for us to become dead stiff in our movement patterns and our posture. And I think that it's one of them things when we don't dust them off and continue to use them. They do stiffen, but it's good to hear that it's got better. It's good. So in terms of what you get from RBT, it's not a podcast about RBT as such, but I think I want to bring it in because having done the group training within hockey, and obviously one thing that we really try and push here is that camaraderie amongst, how have you found that in terms of relationship building in the gym? Do you think it helps? Is it relevant? Yeah,
I think particularly someone like myself who's, I'm possibly a bit older than most of the guys, I don't know, and have with no gym experience. I'm 62.
Go on, mate. Absolutely flying, aren't you?
Yes.
You are. Yeah. Go on then. So
but as going back to what I was saying before, you're a little bit of nervousness, and I am someone who's slightly anxious in social circumstances or social, situations. But I find that everyone here is really encouraging. There's some really, fit guys here, aren't there? But everyone. You do find, or you do feel that everyone's encouraging you to enjoy yourself and do what you can, and the trainers obviously as well. I think they're great. It's a nice for someone like me, it's a nice, comfortable environment, I think, and you know that people have got your back, basically.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Even if you don't particularly know them that well, but when you're in the gym, people are helping you and giving you encouragement and everything. It's great.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely relevant. To be fair, I think to have a team of people with one, we're all very different, aren't we? But we've all kind of got a common thing between us, which is we're all ultimately looking for a little bit of self-improvement in one way or another. We're all getting older. Do you feel like that there is something to be said for starting weights then at your age? You've mentioned your age to me. What's your makeup on that? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so, because I did watch one of your videos or something. It was just when you were talking about guys over a certain age, if you don't do weights, your muscle turns to fat, and you're getting fat on fat. I think you were saying.
I wouldn't have said that, but you lose the muscle. You do lose the muscle. Yeah. Your muscle. Yeah. It could turn to fat, I guess. But I think the point that I would have been making is that if we don't maintain it or work it,
that was it.
It goes, and it's the thing that is going to keep us young. Ultimately, it's the reason we can get out of bed in the morning, and and so on.
So that from my point of view, I do feel a lot stronger, than I did, and because my upper body was beginning to get quite weak, I think, and it's done wonders for me, really. From that point, I can feel it.
Brilliant. Yeah, good. And does that show up in life, in like normal life for you, or is it just in the gym? You notice that? Or?
No, in normal life, yeah. As I mentioned, there was I do a fair bit of amateur dramatics, and we're always shifting scenery around and this, that, and the other, and everything just seems to be a bit easier than it used to be, from that point of view.
Good going, mate. Good. Okay, then. So, what would you say that success looks like to you, or let's talk about like maybe the next year or 2 years or so. What does success look like to you, do you think, in that time frame from this?
I think success, the main success, will be keeping doing it. That would be the main aim, is to keep coming and exercising my body and keeping myself, keep getting fitter, basically. I'd like to lose some weight, which is something that I've struggled with all my life, really. I've been up and down in weight. I'm heaviest that I've been now over the last 2 or 3 years than I've ever been. So I do feel a lot fitter than I did when I joined here, but I've not really lost much in the way of weight yet, and that's because of my own lack of discipline and from an eating point of view. But I'd like to trim some pounds, but I think success would be definitely that I'm still doing this in 2 years' time, and
being
still enjoying
with it. Yeah, cool. And okay, then, so what do you think makes the difference then? Because people listening to this will relate to that. I have this conversation a lot. People, I think, want to try and find a consistent balance with their training, but for one reason or another, it always drops off, whether they're putting too much pressure on themselves in the beginning and it's all got to be perfect, or whether just life just chips in and eats away. What do you think... what do you think RBT perhaps offers you that's going to help you? I mean, again, you didn't attend a gym as such before coming to us, but even if you were tempted to go and do that, what's going to be the biggest differences then, do you think, with the approach we have here?
I think, going back to what you were saying about it's all, the teamwork situation. I know Ez has done a lot recently where it's like team competitions. And
he's working them against each other a bit, isn't he?
And I must admit, because I don't feel that I'm at the same capacity as some of the other guys, I sort of shy away a little bit from that.
Okay, interesting.
But it'd be, I'd like to sort of challenge myself and be a bit more confident about joining in with stuff like that. But yeah.
Do you find it's good that your training's all like mapped out for you?
Yeah. I mean,
do you find that is there like follow up from Ez? For example, if you've not been in for a minute and things like that, or
he's very very good at that, and just giving you a nudge and following up on things, and the encouragement side of things, and it's having the structure, and coming in and looking at the board and saying this is what we're doing today. Not everything I like on there.
We've heard that already this morning. Definitely.
Some things I just physically can't do. Burpees, because for example. But no, if I just walked into a gym, if I joined a gym like you do and went in on my own, I wouldn't have a clue what to do. I wouldn't be doing the right stuff. Probably be end up injuring myself and everything. Yeah. So, and the good thing here is that as soon as you get a little tweak or anything, and just mention it to one of the guys, whether it be Ez or yourself or Ryan, and straight away the class, if you like, is changed to make sure that you're not going to aggravate that injury. And I'm sure all the guys will say that if you've got something that's physically bothering you, they'll tweak the session to suit you and make sure that you're not aggravating that, and that's a good thing. Yeah,
it gives you that confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're being looked. I suppose what I'm saying is, I think you're being looked after. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big feature benefit of what we do, get to the door. The thing is, I've done this role now for like sort of 12 to 13 years or so. And when I first started, people getting injured, I took it like really personally. I was like, oh God, what have we done?
Right.
And what I've realized is that I think it's the X amount of hours outside of those hours in the gym that they're not perhaps the reason for the injury, but they're what contribute to it in the first place. Because I think that the lifestyles that we live, again, the working patterns, the posture, the time that we put into all this stuff, when you then all of a sudden start adding a load of weights being moved around or gym routines, obviously they start to then exasperate the things that are going on under the hood. And we can't always see that. I think one of the things that we love about in here is being able to offer you progressions and regressions with your movement, because if you get injured to the point where you can't train, for someone like yourself, that's going to be really detrimental, isn't it? Because the longer we go without seeing you, as you've already said, the tougher it is for you to get back in.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that that's what the guys are doing. Okay then. So let's wrap up then with your thoughts on what would you say to somebody like you, because obviously your wife has trained with us for a while at TBT.
Yeah.
So she knows we're not complete dickheads, right? Hopefully. Although I'm sure we have our moments. What would you say to somebody that's just really not confident in the gym environment, perhaps a little apprehensive about what they're walking into?
Yeah, I would say, sort of grab it by the horns, and it isn't easy. It's not an easy thing to do if you're not used to doing it, but, give yourself a week or two of going and doing it and getting used to it, and honestly, you won't regret it. It's, if you're like me and you need, you're slightly lazy and you need a boost, I suppose all I can say is that every time I've pushed myself to come, I'm always, as I said before, I'm always glad that I've done it, and I feel better for it. I don't know, you get some kind of endorphin buzz, don't you, after
you do,
it? But,
absolutely, yeah.
But honestly, sometimes I'll go home and I'm absolutely shattered, but you've got something running through your body thinking, yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed that, and keep on doing it. So just push yourself to do it.
Take that first step.
Take the first step, and you will enjoy it. Yeah, and it will, it'll do you good.
Do you, just on a little side note here, do you ever equate what you're doing into the gym or what you're doing in the gym to impacting, for example, like the things that you mentioned, pre and post heart attack? Like, does that resonate with you? Like, I'm actually really making progress in that area for myself? Or?
Yeah, I've seen it in my medical results because, obviously I'm on all sorts of medication.
Okay.
And going back to what you asked before about long-term results, I suppose hopefully this might help reduce the medication that I'm taking. My blood pressure is a lot lower now than it was.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Since training?
Yeah, it's come down. It's been coming down anyway. But the next goal is that I'm still taking the same level of medication for my blood pressure as it was. So I'm due a review soon. So what I'm hoping is that they'll be able to knock a bit of the medication off.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is, obviously a massive benefit from my point of view. My cholesterol's much lower than it was as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Moving in the right direction, mate. Yeah. I think you're doing great, mate. Honestly, I think it's been a pleasure to coach.
All right.
Keep getting your sessions in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
All right, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.
So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Ross for coming in and giving us his time today and sharing his story. Hopefully any of you guys watching might have found that useful or you've been able to resonate with it. If you are local to South Manchester, around the Altrincham area, and you are perhaps a bit like Ross, you would like some help with your health and fitness and the knowledge and understanding of how to navigate it moving forward, you will find lots of information in the description of this podcast episode of how you can reach out and get in touch with me. We can help you. We can give you a free trial to get you started so that you understand how it all works here. Reach out today, all right? Might be the best thing that you've done for yourself. Thanks for watching. Speak soon.